Good day, everyone, and welcome to this show where we are going to be talking about the preparedness of the Gauteng province for the level 4 lockdown that is coming soon on the 1st of May 2020. So as you all know that governments across the world are trying to make sure that there's a balance between saving lives and also saving the economy. So this has necessitated governments to make sure that they open up certain sections of the economy, and obviously this is going to come with repercussions whereby there are going to be more people exposed to the virus, and that is ripple effects because that will also add pressure onto the healthcare system if too many people contract the COVID-19 at the same time. So cities all over the world, governments all over the world are running around trying to see how best they can come up with phased approaches. Some they don't even have phased approaches. Like, for example, if you take Sweden, for example, Sweden never went into a hardcore quarantine lockdown like other countries. So they believe in herd immunity and they've continued life as usual. In Sweden, kids are still going to school. And so far, their strategy is working. But it remains to be seen in the long run what the effect of that is. So it's quite early for us to actually say theirs has been a success and other approaches have not been. So we're just waiting for MEC Tasneem Motara to join us so that we can have this discussion, because she's at the forefront of leading the efforts in the province of Gauteng, which is South Africa's main economic hub, where they are setting up centers for and installing ICU beds and ventilators and every other piece of health equipment that is necessary for taking care of any patients that are going to arise when level 4 kicks in on the 1st of May. So whilst we wait for her, we can, in the meantime, we can just watch a video that she produced as part of the campaign to encourage Gauteng people to donate, to support in any way they can to the efforts that they have. Because if my numbers are correct, I hear that the current number of ICU beds in South Africa is plus minus 4,900. And the anticipated number of ICU beds that are required at the peak, which is being predicted to be around September, is about 14,676. So it means that we're about 9,000 ICU beds out. That's why the different provinces are actually running around and trying to make sure that they make up for that difference and ensure that by the time the peak COVID season comes, the country will be ready. So Gauteng being the epicenter of the COVID-19 virus in South Africa, they have to be super ready. And I know they've been working at Nasrec. They've got a 2,000 bed center that they've created. It's an amazing structure. And MEC Tasneem is the one who has been leading those charges. So I see now that the MEC has joined us. Good evening, MEC. How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm good, thanks. Sorry, I just had trouble logging in.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you very much for joining us. So I was just introducing you that your Honorable Tasneem Motara, the MEC for Infrastructure Development in the province of Gauteng, which is the economic hub of South Africa. I don't know. Do you want to maybe introduce yourself? How you got there? Just a brief bio, just for people to know who you are.
Okay, yes, sure. I am, like you said, that's my name, Tasneem Motara, and I am the MEC for Infrastructure and Property Management in Gauteng. I was elected into office last year following the general elections. Previously, I served in the National Council of Provinces as a member of parliament, as the whip of Gauteng, representing the African National Congress in the 5th term of parliament.
Oh, thank you very much. So, MEC, I mean, I saw a video of yours that you created with your department, where you were showcasing the efforts that you are making in order to capacitate Gauteng for the peak COVID season, when level 4 kicks in. So, I don't know. Do you want to just maybe enlighten us to say why the need to have these extra beds? Don't we have enough in our hospitals as it is?
Yes, well, we use different modeling and experiences from across the world to be able to determine what could our possible need be.
Yeah.
We really want to be as prepared as possible. We do have a sizable amount of beds in the province, but given that Gauteng is a province that has people working from and commuting from different provinces all the time, daily, who live here, who work here, who go to school here, we've and using that modeling, we've then gone further to make sure that we just add additional capacity to what we have. So we've done various things. One is like the video that you speak about. The other is to make additional available space in our hospitals currently. So that's what we are doing. And I'll be reporting on that shortly. Yesterday, we went to George Mukari as well as to the Tshwane District Hospital. Tomorrow, I'm going to the Baragwana site as well as the Discoverers Hospital site, where we are freeing up space in those hospitals just to deal with COVID.
Wow, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. I must commend the Gauteng government for an amazing job that you've done thus far, and we hope that you continue on the trajectory that you are on. So, I mean, I was doing a bit of research, and I saw that they estimate that the peak season for COVID is going to be maybe around September or so, and they estimate that maybe about 78,000 infections are going to be on the table. And that means that we have a grave need for more ICU beds. We have a great need for more ventilators. And then the numbers that I saw was that currently there are about 4,900 ventilators in South Africa. And the anticipated number is about 14,600, which gives us about a shortfall of about 9,000. That is nationally, that is. And then ventilators, I saw that currently we have about 3,216, and there's a need of about 7,000. So that's almost 4,000 shortfall. Yeah. So what are you doing in terms of the shortfalls in the province? How's the shortfall anyway? Before we ask what you're doing about it, how is it? Is it grave, or is it other provinces that have this problem?
Well, I think the figures that you are giving are a picture of the accurate what we report every day. Importantly, the way we're going about it is to call on business as and the private sector to be able to assist us. Medical equipment, especially. Medical equipment is extremely expensive. So we do have, for instance, we've on Saturday, myself and the MEC of Health received donations from DeFi for all our hospitals. We also are in talks with other mechanical engineering companies to be able to produce ventilators. We do have others who have come on board, and the private sector has really, really come on board in a big way in the province to be able to assist us. So where we are responsible for being able to put up infrastructure, we want to, as far as possible, spend money in our own facilities and then be able to call on external donations and the private sector to be able to contribute to the shortfalls. We just have so much in the public purse, and the shortfall. And I'm happy to report that just the NASREC Center on its own, we are not using public funds there. Everything that you see there is currently being funded by whatever we've received in the form of donations.
Wow. What's the capacity for NASREC, if I may ask?
At full capacity, we will have 2,200 beds of varying uses. It will be ICU, high care, quarantine, as well as isolation. The first 500 isolation and quarantine beds will be ready by Friday.
Wow, no, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, how much from your maybe your estimations? How much are you looking to raise? That you need in order to fulfill your needs? And on average, how much is a ventilator or ICU bed? What's required in terms of costs?
So we've heard some pretty scary figures around
Mm,
medical equipment. Some have said that a ventilator costs about 250,000 rand.
wow.
Medical, so they're quite expensive. Generally, medical equipment is very expensive. I'm not too sure
Mm,
about the medical beds, but definitely, I think we will never say no to any donation, and no
really
donation is too small. Even 10 rand goes a long way.
a
It will
long
be
way.
able to see to some need some way. And for us, the more the merrier. We'll be able to carry the expense and the need
Mm,
longer than what we envisage for the public health care system.
mm,
Always needs equipment. It always needs medication. It always needs personnel. You will never have enough in a system such as a public health care system. So whatever people can contribute, and the donations have really been coming in thick and fast. We appreciate them, and we'll put it to good use.
wow. Okay, so how many centers do you have in Gauteng that are dedicated to COVID-19 that have been repurposed for the purpose of catering with these circumstances?
So what we have done is two external to our in hospital facilities. We've got two additional facilities. So the one is the NASREC. The
Mm,
second is a mine hospital that was donated to us unused by Anglo Gold Ashanti,
mm,
which I will be going to on Thursday to check progress on site as well. That hospital has not been in use. We are now just prepping it for COVID. And then like I said, we're making available bed space in all our hospitals in the province. George Mukari will have about
mm,
268 beds when we are done. The Tshwane District Hospital will give us an additional 40 beds.
mm,
Bara, the hospital at Discoverers, Lenasia South,
mm.
Kopanong Hospital out in the Sedibeng region. So what we are doing is, because we have all these hospitals in the province, what we just needed to do was to just cleverly use the space that we have, and we've gone about to do that.
Wow. So with these centers, like Nasrik, for example, are they walk-in centers where if I feel I'm not okay, I can just come through, or these are like referral centers? I don't know if it's the MEC of Health who does with those logistics, or you're privy to those.
Possibly he will be able to give you more of the clinical approach to it, but what I can say is that that by the time we are done with NASREC, it will be a fully functional hospital. So those who need to be tested, when you enter there, you are screened as a matter of course. But like any other, all our hospitals have got screening capabilities.
Mhm.
But just the clinical approach, I'm sure my colleague will be able to explain. What we need to do is just make sure that our client, in this instance, the Department of Health, is
Mm.
happy with what we put up in terms of infrastructure, so that they are not disappointed, and ultimately the residents of Gauteng are not disappointed as well.
No, that's amazing. So tell me, I was reading about 1918. We're going back to 1918, the plague that happened then, the Spanish flu, and one thing that was peculiar was that people who were treated outside in the open air tended to do better. So, in the design of your centers, did you consider airflow? Did you consider, for it to be better than even the existing hospitals and stuff like that? Just so in terms of ventilation and stuff like that. Yeah, it was quite an
Okay,
interesting.
the line is scrambling a bit. I don't know if you can
It's
hear
scrambling a
me,
bit.
but I got your question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but I did get your question. I don't know if I'm fine on your side.
Yeah, you're fine on my side.
Okay, so part of what we are doing is actually a lot around infection control in the hospitals.
Mm,
So you speak about just the airflow. So what we are doing is putting air conditioning systems that
mm,
put negative pressure in the wards where we will have COVID patients. And the reason for that is that when, for instance, you open the door, there is no contamination that comes into the space, and that the wards are contaminated, and that contaminated air doesn't escape into other areas. So how you do that is by putting in negative pressure into the wards and positive pressure outside. Also, the way we're going to dispose of the air will be through an external mechanism, so that you don't also contaminate the rest of the hospital. So a lot of what we are redoing in the hospitals is around infection control. We are also demarcating what we call red zones in the hospital. So those with highly infectious viruses and diseases will only walk in certain restricted areas and not be exposed to other areas in the hospital. That's to deal with infection control. In Nasrec, we're doing the same. So between now and Friday, what we are finalizing is just the issue of the air conditioning system that will control the airflow in and out to avoid contamination and to avoid infection going out of the area. The different halls, for those who are familiar with Nasrec, will be used for different purposes. So the ICU and high care hall is going to be a completely separate hall, as opposed to the isolation and the quarantine hall, because isolation and quarantine you can keep in a particular shared space. However, those that are highly infectious who need ICU cannot be in the same space as those who are just under quarantine. So we've actually designed the space and the spaces in the hospital with a team of clinicians from the Department of Health. So we do the infrastructure, the engineering, the architectural, the mechanical and electrical engineering aspects. However, they are the experts in the health and in health facilities. So we rely very heavily on them to be able to direct our architects, our engineers, our mechanics, our electricians in the design of the facilities.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, generally, going to supply chain, generally the world is suffering because of these lockdowns. In terms of access to health equipment, to stock, and essential medicines, uh, is everything fine on your side to say, okay, we have everything we need despite the lockdowns across the world, or you're having to get people to innovate quickly? I don't know if in building the
I didn't get that. I didn't get it. The
you
question.
didn't get it.
All
Oh
of
yeah,
it is scrambling.
I'm
Yeah,
saying,
it is scrambling quite badly.
sure. In terms of the disruptions in the supply chain, have you had any problems sourcing health technologies or medicines and stuff like that? Things that you need for the hospital to function.
Yes, so we had to also, in 3 of our hospitals, the additional space that we need, we had to go the route of using alternative building technologies that we are going to put up in 3 of the hospitals, simply because we need the space quite urgently. And if we go the traditional route of brick and mortar, we're not going to meet deadlines. So at 3 of the hospitals, that's what we are going to do. We do have a number of companies and people who have come on board with various proposals to be able to address that issue specifically. It will go through the normal supply chain process, which doesn't involve myself, that involves the department. But otherwise, what we've done is to use construction companies who do have very big capacity to be able to address the urgent needs in the facilities currently. So we're using a combination of the 2 traditional methods, but the traditional methods are not putting up any new structures. And the new structures are going to be the alternate building material.
Wow, that's amazing. So if someone wants to donate or wants to inquire about anything, how do they get hold of you? Is there an online payment? How easy is it to donate?
So for the province, we have got 2 methods which you can use to be able to contribute and donate. The first is to use the cell number, which is 072 633 sorry, 072 633 0515. There's also an email address which comes directly to us as the Gauteng Provincial Government, where we coordinate all our donations and direct them to the relevant departments or the relevant needs. And that email is all small letters COVID-19.donations@gauteng.gov.za. It's you'll find that cell phone number as well as that email address on all our social media platforms, Facebook, all our official Twitter pages, and all our official Instagram pages, as well as the Department of Health and the Gauteng Provincial Government websites. That information is available.
Sure. No, thank you very much. But before we go, I just want to play the video that got me interested in this project that you're doing. So if you give me a minute, I could just play this video for you and for our viewers so that they know what we're talking about.
So really what we looked for was a space that can accommodate the numbers that we need in one place so that we can have health personnel and everybody working in one space. So at the end, we'll have 2,200 beds here. And that means that we can put all our resources into one space. It also doesn't create a logistical nightmare for the Department of Health. It took us having to install sanitation services to be able to install water and reticulation in the area. We've also put up electricity. So basically the shell does have points for drainage, points for electricity, but we've had to sort of open up the ducts, as you can see, and that's what they're doing now, to be able to lift those, connect the piping that we've put up to the sanitation system that's here. So even the construction industry has got on board to put in 2 shifts of 24 hours, 7 days a week. They're going above and beyond their ordinary call of duty to be able to make sure that by the time we get to level 4, this 500 beds will be ready. We still have a pressing need of medical capacity, and that is why we left the ICU and high care beds for the 3rd phase. So we need ventilators, we need hospital beds, we need medical equipment, and we need sponsors with, again, deep pockets to come on board so that the odds and ends that we're still left with here, we can see to them from the private sector funding, and that we can make sure that we really stretch our resources.
Let us come together and also play our part. To donate to this life-saving intervention, email covid19.donations@gauteng.gov.za or call us on 072 633 0515.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much, MEC. That was a really moving video. And I hope that
South Africa to help fight the spread of COVID-19 has drawn mixed reactions from a number of groups. While some have welcomed the assistance to be offered by the health professionals, others have raised concerns on the national placement of the local doctors.
The technical glitch, sorry. So thank you very much, MEC. This was very insightful. I mean, even the comments that are coming in from some of the listeners, they're saying that this is very good and informative, and we make sure that we share it further, and hope our viewers as well will share as much as possible. And all the best in your efforts. We really appreciate your efforts, and may the Lord be with you in your travels. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, and just thank you to everybody's support. It's been tremendous. It's not an easy position to be in. We're all fighting something that we don't know, and you work on trial and error and hope for the best. But everybody's support makes it definitely easier to do.
Sure. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye.